Would you be interested in a food that had the following properties? Rich in antioxidants, which means it's protection against cells that get damaged from free radicals, anti-inflammatory, helps protect against certain types of cancer, regulates your blood pressure, has a high fiber, which can help with digestion, of course, and weight management, antibacterial, so helps fighting off infections, and even helps reduce certain risks, particularly from heart disease and diabetes. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? And it's not blueberries, but close. There is an interesting plant that's been mentioned in our readings today, particularly in the first reading and the Psalms, and it's the cedar. It's usually referred to as the Lebanon cedar. That was a very tall tree. It had very strong wood. It would grow very straight. It was actually the wood that was used for the temple. And so when you hear about the Lebanon cedar, the cedars, the image that comes to mind, particularly when it's to the kingdom of God, is that it's tied to the temple. That's what the temple was made of. So the very presence of God and the kingdom of God, which has this kind of majestic and heavenly quality, kind of from on high, because it's a very tall tree. And so this is the exact kind of thing that you would expect Jesus to be using in our parable today when he's talking about the kingdom of God. And so imagine when Jesus is saying this, and instead of a cedar, he says, the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. Have you seen a mustard seed before? It's a very small seed. It's about maybe a little bit longer than a grain of rice. It's just a sliver of, it's almost like a wood splinter. That's kind of what it looks like. It's very, very small. And he says this instead of a Lebanon cedar. So it's like, but what happens? It grows to about 10 to 12 feet tall. So larger than any of us are tall. And it spreads out. And it has this quality of even the birds want to use this because it provides a lot of shade. It grows these little pods, so it grows more seed. It's really something you don't plant. It's something it plants itself. These seeds, particularly if you would grind them up, have all those medical qualities that I just shared with you. That comes from mustard seeds. So imagine that Jesus is using this image that they wouldn't have all the medicine back then, but they would know it has all these great health properties. And it's also an image that they would use for the Gentiles. So what Jesus is inviting us to say is the kingdom of God is not meant for an exclusive few. It's not meant just for the Jews. The kingdom of God now, as he's proclaiming it, and later on through his resurrection and the early life of the church, is being proclaimed to all the ends of the earth. This is meant for everyone. And that's for us who are part of the church. Part of the church that Cyrilla is going to be a part of here in just a few moments. It's something for us to maybe reconsider. That our lives are meant to be shared with others, that they can be invited into the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is bigger than the church, but it is most manifest in the church. And look around us in this world that we live in. And my first question is, do people know that we're Catholic? Because the on-ramp into the kingdom of God is us. It's not some fancy program. It's not a lot of publicity. It's that relationship that we have with others. Well, at work, our neighbors, and other parts of our life, do people even know that we're Catholic? I'm not talking about shoving it down people's throats, okay? I'm just talking about that general knowledge, because interesting things happen. when we don't know what's being planted in people's hearts and how their faith is growing from the first parable. Right? Because this is what happened here. A little discussion at work, maybe a little bit of previous familiarity. Boom! Got all this family that are now coming back and being more part of the kingdom of God. And the kingdom of God is really important for people because sometimes, we complain like, oh, the world's getting worse and the politics and the economy. And wait a second. The kingdom of God that's continuing to inbreak into our world is such that in this kingdom, what does Jesus promise? Healing. Like we know that people who are more involved in church tend to have much better health, particularly psychological, mental, emotional health, not just physical health. That there is a place of support. There's a sense of purpose in life, and other people that share that, and other people that we can help. All this is what it means for us as church to be proclaiming the kingdom of God. Because people need this. People want this. And without this, their lives are a mess. It's what we call salvation. And when we proclaim that with our lives, and we don't have to worry about being persuasive or making everything happen, because the seeds grow on its own. The farmer doesn't know how that works. And so it is in the kingdom of heaven. But when we are part of these small seeds that grow into something that everyone does in their hearts want to be a part of, if it attracts the birds, if it's an image of the Gentile people, in so many ways when we are proclaiming the kingdom of God with our faith in Jesus Christ and the newness of life that's full of abundant grace in our baptism, that people will want to be a part of that. And so, as we particularly celebrate this sacrament of baptism, let us together ask the Lord to continue to help us see even more clearly His kingdom that's broken forth among us, and that our deeds and our words proclaim that the kingdom of God is at hand.